Before family dinner, my mother-in-law yelled at my 7-year-old daughter. "No dinner tonight. Straight to bed." My husband stayed silent. I just smiled and said, "We already had dinner. Thank you." 5 minutes later, I was packing our bags. What I did next left everyone speechless. Sometimes things don't fall apart with a bang. Sometimes they split open with one sentence, said in the wrong tone, to the wrong person, at the wrong time. In our case, it was a sentence aimed at a 7-year-old girl who just wanted to talk about her school project. It was a regular evening. Well, our version of regular, which meant me cooking while my mother-in-law told me how I should have done it differently. My husband, Tom, scrolling on his phone. My daughter, Haley, chattering away, bright, eager, a little loud like any child should be. We sat down to eat. Haley started telling us about school. She interrupted her grandmother, excited. That's when it happened. Marjorie, my mother-in-law, put her fork down sharply, stood, straightened her spine like a judge about to deliver a verdict. "You misbehaved today," she said coldly. "So no dinner. Straight to bed." I heard the breath stop in Haley's throat. Her eyes widened, confused. Not angry. Not even hurt yet. Just stunned. Like someone had smacked her without warning. All she'd wanted was to share the poem she'd memorized. She didn't even know what she'd done wrong. I looked at Tom. He didn't raise his eyes. Just poked at his potatoes like nothing had happened. Like his mother hadn't just denied food to his daughter. To our daughter. "Well," Marjorie said, "go to your room. No backtalk." She always spoke like she was commanding soldiers. Or presiding over court. No room for discussion. No appeal. I looked at Haley. Inside I was burning. But on the outside I was stone. I folded my napkin slowly. Stood. Walked over. Took her hand. "We already had dinner," I said, calm and even. "Thank you. Come on, sweetie." Haley followed me without a word. Her little hand trembled inside mine. Behind us, the silence was sudden and heavy. Even Marjorie seemed caught off guard for a moment. Upstairs, I told Haley to get changed. She nodded and obeyed like always. I opened the closet, pulled down the old suitcase I kept tucked behind winter coats. Just one. Not too heavy. The essentials. Documents. Clothes for a few days. Tablet. Chargers. The folder of printed emails and receipts I'd started collecting a month earlier. Just in case. 15 minutes later, Tom knocked on the bedroom door. "You serious?" he asked through the wood. "It was just dinner." She was acting like a brat. "Mom's not wrong." I didn't respond. If he'd believed otherwise, he would have spoken up downstairs. I walked past him in the hallway, silent. I left the spare house key on the kitchen counter. Put on my coat, zipped Haley into hers. Everything felt detached. Like I was playing a role written for someone braver than me. 10 minutes later, we were standing by the curb. I had my daughter in one hand, the suitcase in the other. Rachel pulled up. My friend. My lifeline. She didn't ask questions. She already knew. I'd told her. Not everything, but enough. In the car, Haley whispered, "Mom? Did I really misbehave?" I turned to her. Squeezed her hand. "No, honey. You were wonderful. Some grown-ups forget what it's like to be a kid." She nodded. I saw the smallest flicker of relief in her eyes. But only for a second. Rachel let us stay in her guest room. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the floor, back against the bed, surrounded by papers and my laptop. Quiet. Focused. Mechanical. I sorted bank statements, downloaded contracts, scrolled through invoices. Organized every freelance payment I'd received over the past 2 years. Every school expense. Every grocery bill. Haley's clothes. My receipts. Emails from teachers. Notes from clients. Tom had lost his job 2 years ago. And never really got it back. Not in any meaningful way. We'd been living on my income ever since. But in that house, I was invisible. Disposable. A tolerated guest. Now I was something else. Something more dangerous. Documented. 2 days later, we sat across from a family law attorney. He flipped through the folder silently. Slowly. Meticulous. When he looked up, his voice was calm, but not casual. "You have a case. A strong one, actually. Stronger than most." "I'm not trying to destroy anyone," I said. "I just want my daughter to have a home. One where no one humiliates her for existing." He nodded. "Then let's make sure you get it. People might say, 'Come on. It was just dinner. Just a grandma being strict.'" One sentence. No, it wasn't just one. It was the last. After hundreds before it. After months of silence, dismissal, small cuts that never healed. I didn't scream. Didn't throw anything. Didn't make a scene. I just walked out. But I didn't run. I didn't retreat. I came back. Not for revenge, but for the right to be heard. And that's where the real story begins. Haley was curled up on one side of the couch, her small fingers still clutching the sleeve of my sweater, even in sleep. I sat next to her, too numb to move. My eyes were fixed on a random spot in the ceiling. But inside I was staring backward, farther than I wanted to go. Back to when this really started. Just a couple of months, Tom had said back then. Until I find a new job. We can't keep paying rent, you know that. I did know. He'd been out of work for 2 months already. I was covering everything with freelance gigs, copywriting, translations, marketing content. The money wasn't amazing, but it was steady. Enough. If we'd been a team. We can't just move in with your mother, I said gently. We're adults. We have a child. He smirked. Exactly. We have a child. Mom has a huge house. She'll be happy to help. She was happy. For the first 3 days. At first, it all looked pleasant enough. Marjorie greeted us with a smile. She cleaned out the entire second floor. Hung new curtains in Haley's room. Baked a pie. I tried to be grateful. I wanted to be wrong about her. But by the end of week 1, she was telling me how to make beds the proper way. By week 2, she'd rearranged my pans in the kitchen and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "This isn't a college dorm." By the end of the first month, she was telling Haley that girls don't behave like that in Grandma's house. Because Haley had been quietly singing along to a song on her tablet. I was working nights. Daytime was for school runs, cleaning, cooking, doing my share. Tom settled deeper into the armchair, half-heartedly scrolling job sites, and disappearing into the PlayStation when it got too frustrating. He faded. From our life. From our team. Sometimes at dinner I felt like the fourth wheel in a trio. Tom, Marjorie, and the house. 6 months in, the roof started leaking. Drips in the corner of the bedroom. Mold in the bathroom. Tom sighed and said, "We should probably do something. But we can't afford it." I hired a contractor. Paid from my own account. Tom didn't even ask how much it cost. It wasn't our house. But everything that got repaired, bought, maintained, came from my hands. My account. My effort. And still, every breath in that house whispered, "You don't belong here." Tom's dad had died a year earlier. Back when we still had our own apartment. The house had been passed to Marjorie and Tom, split 50-50. I didn't contest it. Didn't ask questions. But then we moved in, and everything changed. One day, Tom said casually, not even looking up from his laptop, "Mom's lawyer finalized the title. The house is officially in her name and mine." I blinked. "And me?" He shrugged. "You're not on it. It's not ours. It's mine." There was no ours anymore. One afternoon, I tried to start the washing machine. It wouldn't turn on. Marjorie had changed the lock code. Just changed it. When I asked, she said, "You don't load it properly. I don't want you ruining the machine." And something in my throat caught. Like she'd reached in and flicked a switch that said, "You are no one. Not even laundry is yours." I cried in the bathroom. Quietly, so Haley wouldn't hear. By then, I wasn't a wife. Not a mother, in the eyes of that house. Just a tolerated inconvenience. A woman who should be grateful she was allowed to stay. Tom never took my side. "Come on," he'd say. "It's just Mom. You overreact." Once, he said it straight to my face. "You act like a guest. And honestly, that's how you feel." That night, for the first time, I thought, what if I just left? But leaving wasn't simple. Not with a child. No support. No housing. If I left, they'd say I abandoned her. That I was unstable. Overwhelmed. Hysterical. Worse, they might try to take Haley. Say I was unfit. I'd seen it happen. I knew how fast stories turn against you when you have nothing to hold in your hands but the truth. So I waited. And I prepared. I created a folder on my laptop, documentation. Everything went into it. Receipts from school. Emails from teachers. Medical forms. Bank records. Proof that I wasn't temporary. That I was a mother. That I was the one keeping this machine running while everyone else pretended it was automatic. Tom hadn't worked in over a year and a half. Everything Haley ate, wore, touched, I paid for. Even the Christmas gifts. All from me. And still in that house he was the man of the house. A knock broke through the silence. Present tense again. "Sarah." Rachel's voice outside the door. "You awake?" I opened it. She was holding a tea kettle and 2 mugs. "How's Haley?" she asked. "Sleeping," I said softly. She looked past me at the papers, the spreadsheets, the stacks of printouts. "You kept all of this?" "All of it," I nodded. 2 years' worth. Rachel sat down on the edge of the couch, still holding one mug. You're incredible, Sarah, she said. But listen, you don't have to keep carrying this alone. You're not alone anymore. And you don't have to take one more day of this crap. I looked at her. My voice was quiet, but steady. I'm not walking into the unknown. And I'm not walking away empty-handed. They think I broke. But they forgot who I am. I'm a mother. And now I'm done waiting. Tom got the divorce notice on a Friday. And that same evening, the storm began. First came the calls. I knew they would. I'd already silenced my phone. Not to stop them, just so the buzzing wouldn't make me jump every 10 seconds. He called 6 times in a row. Then came the first message. Have you lost your mind? Who do you think you are? You think you can take your little slice and just walk away like none of this mattered? This is my house. My inheritance. You've got nothing but attitude. I closed the screen. It was all going exactly as expected. They never believed I'd actually go through with it. Now they couldn't believe I might succeed. A few hours later, Marjorie texted. The tone made it sound like I'd stolen her grandmother's pearls. You've destroyed everything. You lived in this house for free, ate our food, used our water, our electricity. We took you in. And this is how you repay us? You ruined the family and now you want money? I read it once. Then again. And I thought, what's she going to say when she sees the receipts? The bank transfers. The income statements. 2 years. I paid for everything. The next day, an unknown number started calling. I didn't answer. Second call, same thing. Third time, it was someone I recognized, Tom's cousin Kathleen. The one who sends Christmas cards once a year and always says, nothing's like it used to be. Hey Sarah, she began, awkwardly sweet. So, I've heard some stuff and I know it's not my business, but are you sure you want to go through with all this? Divorce, lawyers. Is it really worth it? Yes, I said. Calm. Clear. It's just, Tom says you've been on edge. He's worried. Says you're acting unstable, and that he's scared for Haley. My grip tightened on the phone. Hard. Then I let out a slow breath. Tell Tom that I'm the one who's worried for Haley. Because he hasn't worked in 2 years, hasn't looked her in the eye at dinner, and hasn't paid for a single textbook. She hesitated. Well, I mean, don't take it literally. How else should I take it? She hung up. And so it began. A campaign. Lazy but mean. Tom told mutual friends that I'd snapped. That I had rage issues. That I was keeping him from seeing his daughter. One guy DM'd me. Hey, is it true you're not letting Tom see Haley? He said you're threatening him. I didn't reply. I saved the message. Screenshot. Archive. This wasn't just a divorce anymore. This was harassment. They hated that I wasn't playing along. My lawyer was calm. They're hoping to scare you. Push you into backing down, he said. But we're not reacting. We're acting. They've got emotion. You've got evidence. That's what matters. They're going to claim the house isn't mine, I reminded him. And they'll be right, he nodded. The property was inherited. It legally belongs to Marjorie and Tom. But, he flipped through the file. You were married when he received his share. You lived in that house for 2 years. You paid for its upkeep. You contributed financially, and we have the records. Invoices for the roof repair. Plumber bills. Window replacement. All in my name. All from my accounts. Tom hadn't lifted a finger. This isn't about trying to take ownership of the house, he said. We're filing for fair compensation. Your contributions, your financial support, as part of the marital estate. This is well within reason. And even if they fight us, any judge will see it for what it is. I nodded. There was still pressure in my chest. But under it, peace. Like air just before a deep breath. A week later, Tom filed a request for a temporary custody arrangement. He wanted to see his daughter. His lawyer submitted an informal motion, more pressure tactic than actual legal step. Through my attorney, I responded firm. Haley is not a pawn. Her father may request visitation through formal channels, in a neutral setting, with written consent from both parties. The reply came back quickly. Your bitterness is destroying everything. She'll hate you for this when she grows up. I deleted the message. I handed over the full package to my lawyer. 2 years of tax returns. Receipts for utilities, groceries, clothing. Contractor invoices. Haley's school record, with a thank you note from her teacher. A character letter from a long-term remote client. Screenshots and messages from Rachel, confirming Tom's lack of involvement in parenting or household work. It felt like putting on armor. A bronze suit made of truth. Documents don't yell. They don't gossip. They don't panic. They just say, here is the story. Later that week, my lawyer told me something had shifted. They're spiraling, he said. Too many facts, too few counters. Their side is cracking. Marjorie was reportedly furious. Tom was flailing. Then came the first real signal. A letter from their attorney. What sum of compensation would your client consider acceptable to resolve this matter out of court? My lawyer smiled. They know they're going to lose. Now they just need to make it look like surrender was their idea. I was sitting at Rachel's kitchen table, coffee in hand, when one more message came through. From Tom. You humiliated me. All of us. You want money. You'll lose Haley. I'll prove you're unstable. You're nothing. You've always been nothing. I read it. And I smiled. Because that was the moment I knew. If I were truly nothing, you wouldn't be trying this hard to erase me. They tried to hold out. A few more days, radio silence. Then they switched tactics. The usual, blame, twist, distort. Tom called my former manager, hinting, have you noticed her mood swings? She hung up on him. Then they started emailing Haley's school. Anonymous complaints. She's not in a safe environment. I showed them to my lawyer. He nodded once. Panic. That's a good sign. A week later, Jason called. The family's attorney. Measured tone. Pitched just right. Professional to the point of sterile. Sarah, good afternoon. I wanted to discuss the possibility of a settlement. We've reviewed your materials. Let's just say we've come to the conclusion that prolonging the process would not be advisable. I knew exactly what that meant. They'd seen the full picture. And they knew I wasn't bluffing. We're prepared to offer a compensation amount, he continued, in exchange for a full waiver of any property claims. Naturally, this is not an admission of wrongdoing, but rather, Jason, I interrupted. The amount we're prepared to accept is $120,000. In return, I'll waive any claim to Tom's share of the house. The agreement will be notarized in writing and the case closed. There was a pause. Just a breath. Then, I'll inform my clients. I believe they'll agree. Later, Rachel told me how that evening went at their house. Marjorie screamed. I'd rather burn that money. Tom sat quietly. Blank stare. Their lawyer explained gently. If they didn't settle, the case would move to court. And then, a financial audit would be ordered. Haley's school would be asked to testify. Tom's share of the property would be scrutinized. A judge could order them to pay more, restructure the house, or even force a partial sale, tanking the home's value. It's a risk, the lawyer told them. You'll lose more. And it will all be public. That was the line. Public shame was worse than financial loss for Marjorie. The next day, I received confirmation. The amount was approved. Payment within 10 business days. Final agreement to be signed and notarized. I remember sitting at the bank. The notary flipping through pages. My lawyer beside me, nodding as I signed. Everything was quiet. Everything was unfolding as planned. Still, something fluttered in my chest. Like I expected someone to barge in and scream. Stop. We changed our minds. But no one did. The documents were signed. The funds were transferred. $120,000. This wasn't revenge. This was compensation. For the silence. For the fear. For the humiliation I swallowed for the sake of my daughter. For all the times I couldn't hang a towel on the wrong hook. A month later, Haley and I moved into our own apartment. Small, bright, tucked into a quiet street near the park. I chose it myself. Signed the lease myself. Paid the deposit myself. The place was old, but it was ours. I painted the walls. Haley helped with decals. We picked wallpaper for her room. We laughed. We argued over curtain colors. It was our world. Clean. Free. In the kitchen, the espresso machine I'd always wanted. On the wall, a chalkboard with recipes. No judgment. No corrections. Only our air. In the mornings, I'd wake to Haley singing in the shower. I'd sit on the balcony with tea, watching sunlight land across the windowsill. I wasn't afraid anymore. Not ever again. Tom texted. Called once or twice. I can't believe you really wanted to destroy the family. You got what you wanted. Hope it made you feel big. One day Haley will learn the truth. I didn't respond. Because Haley already knew the truth. She lived in it. One night, we were baking cookies. Haley set the timer, then turned to me with a grin. Mom, now cinnamon smells like home. I froze. Just for a moment. Then I smiled and said, that's because this is home, sweetheart. Just us. No yelling. No tension. No shadow in the hallway. Just me and her. We. Photos of us on the wall. Her magnets on the fridge. Our keys on a hook by the door. Not borrowed. Not temporary. Ours. I got the final letter from my lawyer. All parties have fulfilled their obligations. The case is officially closed. I saved it, not out of fear, but as a reminder that I didn't run away. I stood my ground, and I walked away with my head high. Tom called one last time. Thanksgiving Day. I saw the name on the screen, watched it ring, then hit decline, put the phone on silent, and walked back into the kitchen. I don't rush anymore. Not for anyone. Not for anything. There are no more voices whispering that I'm nobody. I'm Sarah. I'm a mother. I'm the head of my household. I'm someone who didn't fall apart. I stood up. This wasn't a victory. This was restoration. This wasn't revenge. This was justice. And now it's quiet, and we're finally home. I don't know what you felt while listening to this story. Anger? Sadness? Maybe even relief. But I want to ask you one question. Did Sarah do the right thing? Did she go too far? Or did she finally protect herself and her daughter in a way no one else ever would? Let me know in the comments what you think. And if this story resonated with you, even just a little, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next episodes. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourself. And remember, even the quietest voice can carry incredible strength.